Hey folks, and welcome back to another one of my videos. My name's Brendan from Blue Light, and in case you haven't seen any of my videos before, over the past 5 or so years I've been coaching and supporting people through the police recruitment process with some considerable success. I might hasten to add, by my best conservative estimate, in excess of 2,500 individuals have been successful as a result of the support I provided for them, from the application form all the way to the final interview. Not quite sure many of them would have got in anyway without my support, but what I was able to do is provide them with the confidence throughout the process to succeed at each stage. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is the thing that most of you are not doing in preparation for your final interview. And this would be equally applicable to the police, the National Crime Agency, the border service, any aspect of law enforcement. Actually, I'd extend it into say any aspect of any job interview that you're going for. This is the one thing that most people just don't do, and that's to actually go and visit a location where the police work from and ask questions of serving police officers that are going to help you in your interview, or arrange a ride along, or go to a community meeting. Do something that's a little bit more than the research that you're doing at this moment in time, stuck in your office or stuck in your bedroom on your laptop or computer. That's not good enough. You need to get out there and do some really active research into what's going on in your chosen police force. So I'll talk about this for the police at this moment in time. So where this came from is my sort of analysis of the sort of questions that are asked in final interview, and there's nothing unethical about that, because most forces don't say anything along the lines of do not disclose the nature of these questions with anyone, and they're sort of all of a there or thereabouts anyway. But what a lot of forces ask is questions around the current challenges that we're facing. So one of the things I do is I prime my clients to ask certain questions. There's several of them, and they're all real killer questions to ask of serving police officers that are going to get them thinking, because a lot of the time they haven't thought about the answers to these questions. So it gets them thinking about their role and their position in society and in the service. And it also provides you with some outstanding evidence to be able to answer questions which are aligned to the questions I get you to ask at your interview. So one of the questions I get my clients to ask serving police officers is, what are the challenges you're currently facing at a local level? What are you doing to manage those problems, if anything? How successful are you? What would you do to improve things? Questions of that nature, but all around the challenges. So how would this work? Well, just the other day I was coaching a client who'd actually been to do a visit at a police station, and don't worry if you get a response at the counter of well, we've never had this question asked before, or no one's ever done this before, because that's the response most of my clients get, because most people just do not do this. So he went in and he asked all the different questions which I'd advised him to do, and then he came on to the challenges. Found out one of the big challenges they have in this particular area is antisocial behaviour from predominantly young people, which involves up to 100 young people, can you believe that, getting together in one of the local parks, which is actually next to the police station. A bit embarrassing really, but never mind. And once they're in the park, they proceed to drink alcohol, set off fireworks, set things alight, and it's happening every Friday night. And that's a big problem that they've got. Now, in terms of suggestions, the potential candidate asked the officers, what suggestions have you got? Well, once you're in, you could perhaps run a youth club. No, that's not going to work. It's not the job of the police to run youth clubs. And if it was a good suggestion, then why aren't those police officers doing that already? Anyway, putting all of that to one side, we then looked at what the force priorities were for this area. Guess what? Antisocial behaviour, but also things like tackling serious and organised crime, and also countering the threat of terrorism and extreme acts, and also issues around violence. Now, this one case links in with all of those. So what we started exploring and unpicking was the impact of that behaviour on communities and the impact of that behaviour on the young people that are involved. So we unpicked how antisocial behaviour manifests itself in that group, in that activity, in that behaviour, and the impact it has on community, the individuals concerned. And then we widened it out to the impact on the police, their ability to be able to meet that kind of demand, and the link between the fact it's happening week in, week out, and things like trust and confidence in the community, which then leads to the police's ability to seek the willing cooperation of community members to resolve problems in their community. And we also explored the links between that kind of behaviour and the onset of violent acts. So that drunken behaviour as a 14-year-old may then become an act of violence aged 16 or 15 or even at 14, which could result in that young person getting a criminal record. We then looked at how that could then progress throughout that child's life into adulthood and the strains and demands that they would put under different agencies throughout their life. We also looked at the impact on the young people's health. And then we expanded it to possible lines of enforcement that could be followed up in respect of licensing and also things like housing associations. So we're starting to expand our scope of possible action that could be taken to meet those challenges beyond just the obvious moving them along. So we explored a lot there, but then widened it out to things like counter-terrorism issues and the threat of extremism. So those young people getting together in a sort of unsupervised, unstructured way, drinking alcohol, causing antisocial behaviour, whatever that might be, is a perfect breeding ground for far-right extremism. It's also the perfect breeding ground for county lines. If you don't know what that is, look it up. County lines linked with organised crime in respect of narcotics and drugs. So there's a big link there. So we basically, what we did is we unpicked that case study and looked at how it impacts on all the forces' strategic priorities, but how those strategic priorities are manifesting themselves at a highly local level. Now, this individual is going to be able to go to their interview and absolutely knock out any questions around the challenges that the force are facing. He's also got some suggestions as to what can be done to tackle those types of behaviours, which will probably get the interviewers thinking, ooh, where did that come from? You see, not only do I help and support people through the recruitment process, but I'm also on the International Advisory Board for an EU project, a European Union project, looking to improve the relationship between citizens and the police right across the European Union. On top of that, I'm a College of Policing Associate in their organisational development team with a specialist area of problem solving and community engagement. And on top of that, I've spoken at numerous conferences on the subject of community engagement, problem solving from an asset-based perspective. And on top of that, I'm currently doing work with police forces and councils in that area of business. So I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about. So he's armed now with some really good ideas about what could be done to meet those challenges at that local level, not at a strategic level. He's not going for direct entry superintendent, he's going to be a constable. So there you go, folks. That's what can tip out of a simple visit to a police station. So if you've not thought about doing that yet, start thinking about it now. This is what's going to enable you to ace your interview. As interviews become more and more values-based and less focusing on the competencies, understanding the relationship between community, police, partner organisations, the tensions that exist, the implications in terms of policy, effect on individuals' lives, effect on communities. This is the sort of thing that's really going to enable you to impress at your interview. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about the services I provide, then please do see the links below. So a shameless plug there. But also, you know, a lot of people just get by in their interviews with the support I provide through my secret Facebook group. I call it secret because you can't find it unless you're invited into it. So a lot of support goes on in there in a very ethical way for its almost 3,500 members now. My goodness, I never anticipated it would grow to such a size. So if you'd like to join that and you're watching this on either YouTube or Facebook, just put a little comment down there below and ask to join it, and I will send you an invite. It would be my absolute pleasure. So I think that's it for now, folks. If you've got any other questions or comments on what I've just discussed, then please do put them in the comments box below. Be delighted to hear from you. I'm always pleased to hear from my clients. I'm also really pleased to hear from those people who've watched my videos, not engaged in any of my services, but have still been successful. And they often comment that it's not all because of you, but partially down to the videos, the support you provide through social media. So I'm really pleased about that, really pleased about that. That probably bumps the numbers up beyond 2,500. My guess is now with that kind of support, it's probably, oh, I don't know, before long we could be looking at like 5% of the police service knows who Blue Light in Brendan is. My goodness, that's a bit scary, isn't it? Anyway, until next time, folks, I shall speak to you very soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, there's that thing you need to say, don't you? If you did like this it's on Facebook, then like it. And if you watch this on YouTube, then please do subscribe to my channel. I knew I'd forgotten something. That's the little bit I always forget. Alrighty, I'll catch up with you very soon. Bye-bye now.